Today is the day where we set up the frame pulling machine. My brother Damon's going to swing by. He's got the machine. We'll set it up, and then we'll try to pull those frames back into position. It's probably going to be a difficult task. Maybe we'll need to heat some of the element up to allow it to form back to its shape. If not, then we'll look into other methods, but then we'll be able to see if we can get the measurements right, and then if the car is able to get in alignment and drive straight. That will be the key thing. So let's go ahead and show you guys how this looks.
All right, so getting the machine set up is quite the task. You have to raise the car up as we're doing here, and make sure you're setting everything level, and then raising the rear. Then you have to attach the part that holds onto the pinch welds on both sides. We're right now just making sure that everything is stable on jack stands, and I had to add some blocks in the rear because the jack stands weren't high enough. Now we can attach the bolt to the chain. That's what we're using to pull the frame right there. So you feed the bolt in, you tighten it through the chain link, attach the chain to the one of the notches on the machine, and then you could hook up the compressor to it. Then you set up the lift point in the center, so the car is, when it's being pulled, it's being held down at the same time. Double check that the bolt is tight. Use your torque wrench or impact, sorry, and tighten the bolt down that is holding the chain to the frame. Then what we're doing, we're just pulling it away right now because it got pushed a little bit inward. So we want to pull it out, and then we want to pull it away from the bend. So that's what my brother is doing here. Once we're done with that, we're going to remove the chain link, release the tension. Obviously, there's a release button on the foot pedal part of this machine. And once we do that, right now we've already swapped the arm. So as you can see, it's going to be pulling the bent frame towards itself in the right angle, straightening out the frame. There's a lot of wizardry and just figuring out angles and moving things around that goes into play. And once we're at the final stages, here my brother's using a 2x4 and a sledgehammer to kind of pound the frame downward. But once we get everything somewhat lined up, we can then take exact measurements when we're closer to the end. Right now, we got to get it somewhat straight, and then we could worry about the fine tuning of it. We're going to be using some heat as well to get this thing back into shape. So we'll heat it from the outside, or sorry, the inside inner part where the crease is in the frame, and that'll kind of allow the metal to be more flexible and let the machine do its job a little bit easier. So that's what we're doing right now. And as you can see, the angle is kind of upward. So something either hit this car on an angle from the bottom, or it jumped up and then hit something. Who knows? But maybe I'll find the previous owner and get the whole backstory of it. So we'll see if anybody knows whose car this was. I do have the plate. It was a Utah plate. I'm going to try to post it on the Nissan forums and see if I could get any information on who the previous owner of this car was, because I'd be interested to see what happened and how did this end up like this. So hopefully we could get this straightened out and get this thing back on the road. Getting every angle is a little bit tricky, and making sure that arm on the rail is supporting the vehicle at all times, because that's kind of the resistance point. And if that's not all lined up correctly, then we're not able to get this thing pulled. So finding those spots and the lengths and the angles can be a little bit frustrating, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. Now we are on to the passenger side. This one was bent more, and we'll go ahead and hook it up with the bolt. Got it at the lowest spot on the arm on the actual machine, and now we got to pull it away from the wheel. As you guys remember, the wheel was turned, so you weren't even able to straighten the wheel out previously. So now, once we get this all straightened out, everything will line up nicely. Some more adjustments, some hammering, some 2x4s, and pulling simultaneously gets us closer to where we need to be with straightening this thing out. Like I said, this is pretty time consuming, and you want to get it right. You don't want to force anything because it could cause the frame rail to just buckle completely if you overdo it. So try to be cautious and don't force anything that doesn't look like it would come undone. Here, Damon is just pounding it from the top and lowering it because this has gotten raised. And you have to remember that when there is tension on this chain, once you release it, there's going to be some bounce back. So it'll bounce back to the previous state slightly. So you have to go over what you are anticipating you need to move it, if that makes sense. Some persuasion with the hammer and wood does help. Wood obviously is not going to cause the paint to come off completely, so that's why we're doing that. As you guys can see, the frame is moving slowly but surely. It is coming back to its original position. So just with more persuasion, more time, and patience is the key here. There's a lot of playing around to get this thing straightened out. Not for the faintest of heart. If you notice here, the machine is moving. It's not supposed to be doing that. The lock pin was difficult to put into place because the transmission was in the way, and it's pretty long. It feeds through the whole frame, the red frame. If you guys could see the long beam where it says Versa puller, see how there's a pin that goes through there that we just switched? Well, there's a similar pin underneath the car, and you could only fit it in certain spots, so we had to kind of figure where to put it so it would stay put. And what it does is it locks in the whole arm from swinging. And as you guys can see, we've come a far way pulling that frame out already. So it's looking really good, and we'll have to just start fine tuning it after we get it pulled as much as we can with the machine. Now it's on to the what I call the ear of the frame, pretty much what the core support and everything else mounts to. We're going to straighten those pieces out, make them flat so that when we go ahead and mount the radiator support, it will bolt up nicely. So using a series of mallets and hammers, we're able to straighten that out nicely, and then that'll ensure a flat mounting surface.
So let me explain to you guys how this setup works. We got this jig set up here. It is a Versa puller. So you got chains. This is a hydraulic setup. You have to power up and put it on
Jack stands, and once you have it on the jack stands, you can mount the pinch weld holders right there. Now these slide onto that side rail
for this machine to go underneath the car, and then it has that arm right there that supports the bottom so it doesn't sway. Jack stands in the rear as well, and then you have a bolt like such, or there's other attachments that will hook into places, allows you to then press this when the compressor's hooked up, press that hydraulic foot pump, and then it will pull the chain and the tension, and then you could change the angle of this arm straight that way or this way, and you have to adjust all the angles when you're doing it. So we were able to get this guy out. As you can see, it's got some big creasing. We're heating it. Point of attack next is to open up all these rivets. I'll grind off any welds, spot welds, and then I'll go ahead and separate this. That'll give us access from inside to nicely fix this and get this back into, and I'll do the side. This one was pushed in a lot. So I'll have to grind off all these spot welds, and then there was a bracket here probably broke. To remove this bracket, remove all these spot welds, split this, the seam.
I've got special spot weld drills bits that I'll show you guys. Let me see where I put them. Those will allow me to drill through and remove the plate that I'm showing you guys. If I could find them.
Here are the special drill bits. So, kind of like such. That'll get those out. Alright guys, we are ready to remove the tack welds, so we'll have to grind off this rubber sealant to access these, and we'll drill all these welds out. Gotta remove this bracket here, and then we'll separate it, and we'll be able to do the fixing from the inside so that it doesn't buckle on the outside once we pull it some more. So let's go ahead and get to work on that.
So Damon is just now trying to pound out the crease from inside since I've already removed the plate. So I'll show you guys how that looks. But that'll give us access to get to those creases. We'll bend this back a little bit. We'll be cleaning that up and painting it later, so it doesn't matter. We need a little bit more access to get to that crease properly, and then we'll be able to fix all these creases up the right way and get this sorted out nicely.
All right, we got both sides off, and then we'll be able to access all the dents inside here and properly bang it out, properly hit it out, hammer it out so that we could pull it more. Here's one panel, and here is the other side. So we'll be able to straighten that out, straighten all this out, and we'll be able to pull it more and get this all situated. And then we'll have to learn how to weld and get that welded back up. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series so far. It's a little bit of a learning process for me. Might get destroyed in the comment section, but this is just a weekend cruiser for me. Not a full-blown like restoration show car, so I'm not too worried about it. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, it helps out a lot, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.